You were an Obidient in the last election. You supported the Labour Party. However, in Edo election, the gubernatorial election coming up in the next couple of months, you are supporting a non-Labour Party candidate. What informed your decision?
I've always believed that at the core of the human soul, at the core of human emotions, at the core of a prime conscience and a living being should be the narratives of equity, fairness, and justice. I've also believed that if you truly mean well for a society, what should denominate your thinking should be competency, capacity, commitment to the common good, and great character. As a Nigerian, since I was 22 when I began effectively my politics as the youth coordinator of Hope 93 campaign, I understood the need for equity, justice, and fairness on our political kaleidoscope. And in the Edo political scenario, I know that Edo, like most states, have 3 senatorial districts and zones. I know that Edo North has produced a governor within the past 25 years. I know that Edo South has produced 2 governors within the past 25 years. And I know that Edo Central has barely produced one because the one that was elected, the Senator Sumbo, was thrown away by the courts. So if you truly believe in justice, equity, and fairness, which were largely the basis upon which the support base of Peter Gregory in the last election devolved, don't forget that the Arewa people who supported Peter Obi supported him on the basis of a call for justice, equity, and fairness. Don't forget that the Middle Belt Forum that supported Peter Obi in the last election supported him on the basis of equity, fairness, and justice. And then also forget that Afeni Ferres supported Peter Gregory on the basis of equity, fairness, and justice. Do not forget that Pandef, led by Pa Edwin Clark, supported Peter Obi on the call for justice, equity, and fairness. And so I wonder why people think that I'm wrong to have elected to support Asue Godalo on the basis of equity, fairness, and justice. I also have challenged those who care to think that between the candidate of the Labour Party and the candidate of the PDP, Asue Godalo, who would you rather is a teacher to your children at home? Who would you rather is a driver who takes your kids to and back from school? Who would you rather hand your company to? Beyond partisan obscurantism, beyond the fear and flair for partisanship, I tell you, Njenje, no Obidient with a soul will elect Akpata over Asue Godalo. And let me tell you, one of my mentors in the political evolution of our country, the big, great boardroom guru, Dr. Christopher Kalade, one great Nigerian that everybody admits as plain proper and tried, has his board, on his board, Christopher Kalade Foundation, has Asue Godalo as number 2 on his board. That tells you the character of the person we're talking about. He has headed boards of over 8 blue chip companies. He's a square peg in a square hole. He's a round peg in a round hole.
Isn't that the type of narrative that people heard about the current governor Obaseki? And if you go to Benin now, people appear not to be entirely happy.
They're absolutely different. 2 very different persons. You can't name a company that had Obaseki as chairman. You can't name a bank that had Obaseki as chairman. He was an economic guru, yes. But we're talking about Asue Godalo having headed blue chip companies as chairman, having headed banks as chairman, and having the place on the board of Dr. Christopher Kalade Foundation. And I'm talking about competency, I'm talking about character, I'm talking about commitment to the common good. And then besides, I'm talking about equity, justice, and fairness. I want power in Edo State to go to Edo Central. If Labour Party had produced a candidate that works for justice, equity, and fairness, perhaps it would have been difficult for me. But not having produced a candidate that works for equity and justice and fairness, I've elected beyond that to follow a candidate who is not only competent, whose capacity is beyond question, whose commitment to the common good is amazing, and whose candidacy works for equity, fairness, and justice. And that's what denominates my politics. So I'm completely, without equivocation, in support of the candidacy.
So by your position, you clearly agree that the Obidient transcend party affiliation.
No, I wish they truly do, because I have seen a whole lot of obedience come at me because I've refused to support the candidacy of Olumide Akpata.
But
I've seen a whole lot of them.
Okay,
so I will find it difficult because I'm a student. No, please. I'm a student of truth. I will find it difficult to accede to that position that the obedient movement transcends political party, because I've seen quite a large number of them come at me because I've chosen competency, capacity, and commitment to the common good over partisanship. I've seen a lot of them come at me because I've chosen equity, fairness, and justice over partisanship.
Okay.
So if truly the obedient movement stands for the common good and the greatness of our country, then a whole lot of them have to do a moral rethink.
Okay, in that case, I mean, you're still, in principle and in philosophy, you are still an obedient in that sense, right?
No, I am committedly a student of a Quest for a New Nigeria.
Exactly, and that's what the movement stands for.
No, I'm beginning to do a whole lot of moral research and rethink.
So basically, you're pulling out of the obedient movement.
Pulling out?
You just said now you're doing
pulling out. No, listen to me. Yeah. Pulling out? No. I support the Peter Gregory election candidacy in the last election. If he doesn't stand by the philosophies for which I politic, which is the common good of the Nigerian people, then perhaps I may not, and I say without equivocation, I may not support his candidacy in 2027. I am the leader of Country First Movement, and my first loyalty is to country, not to an individual.
Exactly. So now we have young Nigerians who, exactly what you just said now, as a leader of the Country First Movement, who really want a new Nigeria. They are out there.
A new Nigeria is beyond an individual.
Exactly.
A new Nigeria is about a collective ideology.
Yes. And these young Nigerians are working towards that. But now we had a professor like yours, I mean, a man you reverse so much, Professor Njenje, constantly take a swipe on them. So what's your take on that?
I think that Peter Gregory and Professor Njenje are friends and brothers. They share common affinity. They share common membership of the grouping. They know how they talk. Let them resolve their differences and understand themselves. I have deliberately chosen to allow the debate surge and go on. Because when I led, along with others, the reaction to Professor Njenje a few months ago, Peter Gregory went to his house and hailed him as one of the leaders of thought. I don't want to be involved in their personal disputations. I want to be involved with the call for a new Nigeria that works for all. So I would rather, very politely, not discuss them.